Hello everybody, my name is Loudon Doemland, and this summer I was up in Boulder studying astrophysics at the Laboratory for Atmospheric and Space Physics. So the people I worked with, on the left over there is my mentor Dimitri, amazing, best mentor I could ask for. And then the middle was Bane, he was my roommate for all 6 weeks. And then this was basically the entire lab. Me and Bane were lucky enough to share a couple birthdays with the laboratory and got to eat with them and spend time with them. So this was the Sprite group, and this is the group that was working on what me and Bane were working on, which was a satellite, like a 2-foot by 4-foot satellite that was studying supernova explosions using ultraviolet rays. So for the first few weeks, me and Bane spent a lot of time doing CAD software design, using SolidWorks, trying to figure out how to use it. And a lot of trial and error, but luckily everybody who was there knew how to use it and helped us along the way. So just like TJ, I learned the importance of how accurate measurements had to be when I was doing calculations for the glue. And we used this glue, we calculated the expansion when the solar cell was pressed with a circuit board. And then we also spent some time finding the right material, which was polyester, and it was 0.015 of an inch thick. So this was the fun part for me. We did a lot of trial and error using a laser engraver. And what we would do, we would try to cut out the stencil, and we would put it under an optical comparator, which is basically a telescope that could accurately measure as well. And we would look for the roughness of each edge, and we kind of modified the laser engraver until we had the right setting to where it was smooth. And after we figured out that, we actually started testing the structural epoxy. And this epoxy is basically a glue. But what we did is we used the stencil we created, and we squeegeed glue, as well as didn't use a squeegee and just kind of manually did it with our hands. And we let it sit for 24 hours compressed to see the expansion. And these two different types of glue could not touch each other. And that was very crucial. That's why we were calculating, to make sure they wouldn't touch. And then for more testing, we used isopropanol to clean the actual glass pieces, and isopropanol breaks down the glue, so we had to be very careful with that. As well as after that, we baked the pieces for 2 hours. Then we froze the pieces for 4 hours, and then we put them in a vacuum chamber. And these are all the tests that they used for items that are going into space. And then right here is me squeegeeing using our stencil that we designed. So it was pretty cool because they actually used the stencil I created to put into space, and unfortunately I wasn't there to actually do it. On the last day, someone else was using the engraver. But it's pretty cool to say that I designed something that's going to space. And then collaborating with colleagues, me and Bane sat in on many meetings, and I designed a PowerPoint to talk with another group that was working on a different small satellite. And we basically talked, because they used a tape and glue while we were just trying to use glue, and we got feedback from them on our ideas. So our house was also a complete disaster. Looked like a tornado went through it. In the back shed, there was a broken half pipe. We had a trampoline. When me and my mom first got there, there was this outside chair in the dining table, and it was just, that kind of explains it. And then on the right here is me posing next to a rocket ship that they just received from a recent mission. So for free time, me and Bane went up to the Flatirons a lot. On the far left, we decided to take on 60 chicken wings. We didn't eat chicken wings for the rest of our internship. And then we lived with college roommates, and on our last night, we got to watch one of their gigs because they're in a band called the Dirty Turkeys. For fun at the lab, we got to freeze stuff with liquid nitrogen, and we decided to freeze a banana and throw it into the air, and we watched it explode, which was pretty cool. We saw a lot of friends in Denver, and we played a ton of frisbee golf. I mean, once a week minimum. And then my mom also took us to a Oliver Tree concert. So what I learned is step-by-step procedure when handling products with electrostatic discharge. Basically, you have to be grounded. And then safety precautions in the laboratory, as well as how to use the 3D CAD software SolidWorks, how to solder, how to use the laser engraver, as well as the optical comparator. And I learned that mistakes happen all the time at the lab, and also that I wanted to be a mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
So advice for future Pinterns, you should pay attention, be curious and ask plenty of questions, fully immerse yourself in the experience. And like I did on the last day when I found out we couldn't laser engrave the final stencil, I got to learn how to solder, which was pretty sweet. And then I also built connections with some of the coworkers that all said they want to help us down the line. And thank you to all these people.